Mark, Mission Voice, one of your runners on Saturday, a horse we know little about, so I'm hoping you can tell us a bit more. He's had the 3 trials. How impressed have you been with those trials?
Yeah, I've been happy with him all the way through. I've actually I had him in my Sydney stable for a while as well because he was bought out of the NZ Ready to Run sale last year, and he had a couple of small preps with me in Sydney before coming here. His trials, I've been happy with each of them. Haven't had him off the bridle yet, so that'll be something a little bit new, but every indication that there's a little bit under the bonnet.
What have you seen then, given that you had him in Sydney? Have you seen him develop? Have you seen him change in any way? I mean, is he still the same horse that you saw then, or how has he adapted to Hong Kong?
Oh, he's actually adapted really quickly. He's been here since before the start of the season, so he's had enough time to acclimatise. As a horse, I think the extra time has done him good. He's developed really nicely, and I'm sure he's going to make a good class mile horse. Saturday's 1200 from a wide gate, so more than likely we'll be in the second half of the field somewhere, but I'm sure he'll be hitting the line strongly.
Was it always the plan, Mark, to give him a trial around the bend? I mean, he had a couple down the straight, but then last time obviously 1200. Was that just part of the course, if you will, for him racing over 12 to debut?
Yeah, exactly. His 2 trials have been down the straight, so I only wanted to give him a look around the corner. But look, he handled it well. He didn't jump particularly well that day, but he got in behind them, and then he didn't have a lot of room in the straight. But there's enough to suggest that when asked, he's going to respond.
Got the right man on board to overcome that wide draw as well.
Yeah, well, look, he's been. I put Zach on him in a jump out early on here, and said, look, the ride's yours if you want him, and he hasn't jumped off yet, so that's a good sign.
Hugh, Invincible Sage, one of your rides on Saturday, looks to be a plum ride as well down the straight, and he was very good when victorious last time.
Yes, Nicholas, he was excellent first up last preparation over 1,002. He's a bit unlucky not to get some room late, but he was dominant off a pretty hot speed last start, and hopefully they run along again. I'll switch him off wherever he's comfortable, and I think it's fair to expect a similar performance.
And I guess what was quite telling, Hugh, is the turn of foot that he showed. I mean, for a sprinter, it's fully expected, but he was pretty rapid, this guy, wasn't he?
He was, and he wanted to get on with things early. He's a very uncomplicated horse, and he does like to compete. So from draw 1, I just switched him off and got him in a rhythm, and next thing I found myself, a good 6 or 8 lengths off the pace. I thought I'm a fair way off them, but that was an indication of just how quick they were going up front, and I think it might have helped him get into that rhythm. But when I asked him for full effort, his response was outstanding, and I'd like to think we'll go in with a similar game plan. Where I actually settle down will depend on the speed they go, but he's a very sensible horse, and he's grown and strengthened up from last preparation to this one, and like I said, there's no reason why he can't repeat last start performance.
With all of that in mind, obviously he's now gone to the top end of this grade. He's got to carry the 135, but in your mind, is there still a good bit of sort of progression to come from this guy?
Well, I don't think he needs to progress, actually, but I do. I think there is still progression. He's only, he came from Australia with good, consistent form, lightly raced, and he seems to have settled in well. He's got the right temperament to do well here in Hong Kong, in my opinion, and I guess this is still a stepping stone, but look, I can, win, lose or draw tomorrow, I can see him being effective once he goes up in Class 2, this horse.
Yeah, I suppose without putting the cart before the horse, he's well thought of by David. He's given him that entry for IR, obviously plenty of water to pass under that bridge, but he obviously thinks a bit of him too.
Well, I think that's an indication of where the sprinting ranks lie here in Hong Kong too. I mean, you've got Lucky Swayness, and you've got a few other progressive horses, but Wellington's sort of is at the pointy end of his career, and Lucky Swayness is sort of the benchmark. So, but outside of those two, there's that we're waiting to see who's going to put their hand up, and I'll be interested as everyone else to see where this guy can measure up. Now, whether he pushes up to that level just now, or whether it's 6 or 12 months away, but I think he's a pretty handy horse, and he didn't get the trip over 1200 last preparation, but we were riding him a bit differently. But it's early days. He's got the nomination if he puts his hand up to say he's ready for it, but you know, David's very sensible too, so if he doesn't put his hand up, I'm sure he'll bide his time.
And just finally, Hugh, it'd be remiss of us not to welcome you back, of course, but of enforced time on the sidelines. You must be raring to go.
Yeah, I certainly am. It's been a little too long, you know. I mean, it was unfortunate to get the 2 suspensions, but it is what it is. Spent some quality time with the family and spent some time sort of preparing for my comeback as well. So looking forward to getting back in the saddle.
John, the Panasonic Cup is our feature race on Saturday. You've got a couple of runners, both making their seasonal reappearances. If we could start with Tuchel, he did a fairly good job for you last season.
He did. He raced consistently all the way through the season. He was in pretty good shape most of the time, and he acquitted himself very well. Just got beaten in the Derby, and I suppose that was a very good effort.
Certainly was. How pleased have you been with his efforts in his trials? You've given him a number of trials to prepare him for this.
No, he's been okay. He's had a good break and a little bit of time off to try and recuperate. Seems all right at the moment, so we'll learn more when we go to the races.
He's always possessed quite a good fresh record, John. Coming into this new season, are you happy with where he's at? Do you think he's ready to sort of really fire first time?
I think so. I mean, he's got a handicap he has to live up to, and performed first up from a break, which is not easy to do. But he'll have to improve on that to win the race. So if he can run up to his handicap, he's probably doing very well.
He's got a new jockey as well this time in. Hugh Bowman will take the ride, obviously. Certainly not a bad substitution for Zach.
Yeah, well, he's going to suit him well, I think. He's a pretty easy horse to manage. I don't think he's that difficult in a race. So I think Hughie will handle it all right.
You've also got Red Lion in the contest as well. Lexi Bedell knows him very well. Talk me through his latest trial, John, because he looked very impressive the way he did that.
He trials well, normally probably because of the surface, the all-weather track is Shartin. I think he handles it okay. So he does look good in the trials, but he takes it to the races also. So he's been very consistent. He's a very diligent worker. He likes his training and his racing, and he always seems to run a good race.
He's a very versatile horse, you say. Rapid rise. I mean, I think he started last season off 71, didn't he? Now he's into triple figures. So did you expect him to sort of come as far as he has done when you received the horse?
Well, we don't know what to expect actually until we start racing them. But the first day he went to the races in Hong Kong, he was impressive. He'd come from a very wide gate at Happy Valley, and that night he was telling us that he wanted to be a racehorse and he was happy to be here.
There's only a couple of pounds between them, John, on official ratings. Can you split them? Is there much between them, or are they quite closely matched, the pair?
I think the distances will separate them. I think that'll probably when they sort of define their distance, then they'll probably be different types of horses.
We've got those to look forward to, of course. This morning you treated us to a couple of the stable stars trialling. I mean, I suppose it wasn't necessarily for us, it was a matter of course. But Sight Success went round in a trial, Beauty Eternal was another. How are both of those horses?
They're fine. Sight Success seems to have come out of his win quite well. He looks in pretty good shape. It didn't seem to upset him at all. And today his trial looked normal. It looks like he's going to repeat the effort. And Beauty Eternal, he looks fine. He's making progress along the way. He seems to be in better condition now than he was before he went his first up run. So he should run a better race.
John, just finally, Wednesday night kept us all in suspense till the last race. Couldn't quite get the job done, but it wouldn't be lost on you that you're one away from the 1500. I know you're always very quick to defer the credit to the equine stars. Plenty of very nice horses, big winners amongst them, but that'll be quite the milestone once you get there, which should be very soon.
Yeah, well, it's all the milestones are important, and as you tick off things as you go along, and one thing about the records or milestones that you attain, they're there forever, they're part of history, and they're pretty important. So hopefully we'll get the 1500s soon and put it behind us.
Zach, Aestheticism is a horse on the quick backup, a horse that you rode last time, of course, and I guess things didn't quite go to plan in the sense that there wasn't a great deal of room, but he did finish off strong.
I think what he showed was that he doesn't need to make a long, sustained, one-pace run around the circle and in the straight. He's a little bit more versatile than that, and it actually suited him, being ridden in a different manner.
He's trained by Pierre Ung, who does like to keep his horses very busy. I mean, he's going to be a very fit horse, isn't he? And last time out, obviously, did everything bar win. I guess you'd be fairly confident this Saturday.
Yeah, well, his horses have been backing up well and performing well, so hopefully he can do the same. He just doesn't help himself in the first part of the race. He hasn't got the most amount of gate speed, but if things go his way, he should be a chance.
Just having a look at the race on paper, I mean, Pierre's probably found what looks to be very winnable. Do you not think?
Yeah, well, it's hard to win any race, so it doesn't matter what he's against, he's still got to go out there and do it.
Just where he's drawn, he's in 4. That puts him in a pretty decent spot, I suppose. You get plenty of cover there?
Hopefully he can just get out the gates. That's the biggest issue with him. He's quite slow and sluggish and can't get into stride. So if he can just help us early in the race and get a nice position, then that's going to take us a long way further.
Zach, obviously racing is obviously your number one, but I know another one of your great passions happening this week in Hong Kong, of course, the golf. We saw a couple of the stars at Happy Valley in the week. You've managed to enjoy that on a couple of off days so far this week?
Yeah, so I went out there on Thursday, had a good look at the guys and the course, and yeah, it's just a pleasure to watch them play. They make it look so easy. Their ball striking is unbelievable, and just the way that they work their way around the course, it does make me feel like I am the amateur that I am when I'm hacking my way around there. But they're good at what they do, and it's nice to have them in town.
I guess seeing Cam and Wade, etc., on horses might be a bit interesting as well. So I wouldn't discredit yourself too much.
Yeah, I'd like to see how long they can stay on one.
Andrea, Champion Method, one of your rides on Saturday. He's a perfect 2 from 2, this guy, and he really is developing into a nice horse, isn't he?
He is. I actually sat on him yesterday. He seems like he's definitely grown a lot mentally and physically. He's taking his races on the right way. He's in tomorrow, stepping up to Class 3 level. Obviously with bottom weight, but he's done nothing wrong so far. We're drawn 8, which is okay. Mind you, the last day when we won, I was drawn wide anyway, so he seems pretty straightforward, that way. He doesn't win by far, but he seems to get the job done so far anyway.
And just on his performance last time, I mean, how much did his mental and physical capacity come into play? Because am I right in thinking you were headed, and he really did battle back well, didn't he? Yeah,
he was obviously first when he won over 1,000 metres first time here on the straight course, and first time around the bend. I always had to use him quite a bit because I was drawn wide, and we rode him quite prominent. He travelled into the race quite nicely. Like you said, I definitely got headed by the second and third horse, and he came back at them. So hopefully there's a bit more left in the tank with him.
He seems to have that wonderful attitude, doesn't he? He just seems to really enjoy his racing, I suppose.
He's a legend. I actually rode him yesterday, and I'll just give him an easy bit, obviously, because he's running tomorrow. And you wouldn't think is 1,200 metre horse. You actually wouldn't think he won over 1,000 metres. He go around there, he feels like a miler. He's got that good of a mentality. So let's hope his broken record continues.
I know we always expect it, but have you felt him improve? I know it was only an easy bit of work as you've touched upon, but have you felt him sort of come on nicely for that win? He
has, yeah. He's got a great mind. He's a very good-looking horse, and with a great attitude. And which, these sort of horses, these young horses, when they've had two hard runs as well, it could go either way. But he seems to be taking his races quite well, and he's got a great attitude, and hopefully go close again tomorrow.